Hello, everybody, and welcome to another rousing week of anatomy and physiology. This is week 2. It is hard to believe that we are already in week 2 of our class. And so, in order to help keep you on track so that you know exactly where we're going, I'm going to take this time to show you all your items that are going to be due this week. So, first things first, I have a short announcement here that I posted on Blackboard about getting into Connect. I realize that some of you all have the 3.2 version of the Anatomy and Physiology Revealed access for the Connect platform for lab. And as a result, you're getting this really funky message or thing that happens there. So I've contacted the book representative from McGraw-Hill, and she gave me this wonderful login instructions PDF that I have shared with you all on how to get access to Connect using that 3.2 version access code that you purchased from the library. So there's no need to ask for a refund. There's no need to purchase an additional code. Follow these instructions and you should be able to get access to our classroom's information. Now, for this week's items that are due, we're going to click over here on weekly modules. But before we do that, I've had a couple of questions about where to find due dates for material. And you can always find due dates and you can always find classroom policies at this tab here where it says syllabus and schedule. And in syllabus and schedule, this is the long form version of the syllabus, so that has all of the policies for the course itself. Course name, my instructor name, all that good stuff. And then at the very end of the document, you will find the schedule. So we have a schedule for lecture. Since we are in week 2, we would be in this area here. And then we also have a schedule for lab if you go a little bit further down. And this would be our week 2 lab schedule. In addition, on Blackboard, where it says summer schedule, this is just an abridged version of the syllabus when it only includes the schedule for both the lecture and the lab. So you have those items there always. Now what we're going to spend our time on most of this little discussion here is in the weekly modules. So if we click on weekly modules there, we want to go into the week 2 folder. Items that you will need to complete for this week are the lectures that are found in this folder for chapter 6, the osseous tissue. There are 2 lectures in that folder. And just showing you there's part 1 and part 2. And then you will also need to begin the articulations, skeletal muscle histology. And then I want you to start looking over this lab manual for bones of the upper and lower skeleton. Your first lab practical will not be concerned with this, but I want you to get a jump on this information because there's a lot of bones and that you'll need to know for an upcoming lab exam, not the one that's happening this week, but exams coming in the future. So if they said A&P was taking A&P is like trying to drink water out of a fire hydrant or fire hose, then taking A&P in 8 weeks is like trying to drink fresh water out of a pool with a drinking straw, or maybe not a drinking straw, but just having it thrown down your throat. It's a lot. So yes, it is a lot of information. Can you do it? Absolutely, because if you didn't think you couldn't, you wouldn't be here. Keep that in mind when you start to get stressed out, when you start to feel like this ish is crazy. I want you to remember that I can do this, I can do this. I wouldn't have signed up for it if I couldn't have done it. So keep that in mind. So I want you to start looking over this lab manual for bones and muscles. The next couple of sets of lecture notes are going to be pretty heavy. As you've probably noticed, lecture is super physiologically based, which means that we're looking at how these organ systems work, whereas the lab portion is more about the anatomy, like what these structures are, what they look like, and where you find them. But physiology is how these things work, and that's for a lot of people the most difficult part of A&P. So that's in this folder this week. So we got articulations, chapter 9, and there's only select portions of chapter 9, and you'll see that in the notes, and those page numbers are also on your syllabus. And then we're going to start the muscle histology this week. So that's for the lecture portion of it, for lectures to listen to and sort of lab work to start to be thinking ahead. On Sunday, you have your critical thinking and application assignment that's due. I know some students have already submitted it, and I have graded your work for that. If you have not submitted this quite yet, then please do so. It's due Sunday. You also only have 2 concept maps that you'll need to complete this week, and I will tell you all that I am very impressed with the concept maps that you all are doing, whether you've done them by hand or you found some really cool software to do it. The whole purpose of making you do this is not a brainless, mindless activity, but it's meant to help you link together these very complicated concepts and to break them down into their smaller working parts. And it really is, it's like forced studying. So I'm forcing you to study because you get points for this, and they're really easy points to get. So this week we only have 2 mind maps, one on endochondral ossification, one on intermembranous ossification. They're hardenings of the bone. In a nutshell, flat bones have one process and long bones have another process, and you will find out as you are building your mind maps. That also is due on Sunday. On Sunday, you also have homework for Connect. So a lot of you all have also asked me, how do you access the homework for Connect? One way you can do it is through the weekly folders. If I click on this, it will take me directly to this particular assignment. It won't look like this for you. It's going to look more like this for you, where you will answer these questions here. You can also, so this is one way, it's through the weekly folder. You can also go through the McGraw-Hill Connect website, sign in with your credentials, and then come down to your class, whichever class it may be, and then you will see a listing of all the well, you won't see that. Let me switch view. You will see a listing of all the assignments, the name of the assignment, when it is due, how many attempts that you have on it. So for some assignments, actually for all of your lab assignments, you can do them as many times as you want until you get all the points that you want to get. And it also tells you if an assignment is past due or not, which for this, it looks like they're past due because I haven't done any of these assignments, I just built them. And then we have our lab exam in here as well. So that is also going to be due this week, but I'm going to go ahead and go back to our Blackboard page before I discuss that. So back here in our weekly modules, just as a recap, we have our critical thinking and application discussion board is due this week on Sunday. Your concept / mind maps, you have 2 of those that are due on Sunday. And as I will say that I am very impressed with the way that you guys are submitting them. I'm very impressed with how you all are developing them. You have homework for lab, which is the week 2 discussion. Week 2 tissues, sorry. So week 2 tissues is due on Sunday. Also due Sunday is your lab exam. So this is our very first lab practical. And this lab practical will only cover the material that we've done on McGraw-Hill Connect. So, excuse me. So last week's lab homework that you've done on McGraw-Hill Connect and this week's lab homework that you've done on McGraw-Hill Connect, there are about 38 questions in this lab practical, and they come directly from those homework assignments. So I would definitely do the homework prior to doing the lab exam, and it's going to be due this Sunday by midnight, so 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you are allowed to submit your lab exam late. If you submit your lab exam late, please be mindful that it will be your lab grade, however many points you earn, will be deducted by 10% for every hour that your lab exam is late. Your homework, you can turn it in, whatever, and I will give you credit for it. However, your lab exams must be taken in a timely fashion. So you can access your lab exams going through this route by clicking this link here, or you can access them by going directly through McGraw-Hill Connect. And when you're ready to take your lab exam, you're going to have this little prompt come up that tells you all of the parameters of the exam. It's a time test, it's 60 minutes. If you don't submit it before that time limit, it's going to be submitted to me automatically, and your time begins as soon as you click Start Assignment. There are also algorithms, and there are also ways for the system, the platform for Connect, to determine whether or not you have other browser windows open, and it may kick you out of the exam and submit your assignment, at which point you will have to take whatever grade you have for that, because you are not to open any additional web browsers, you are not to consult your textbook, you are not to consult your friend, your cat, your dog, whoever it is that you think may be able to help you with your lab exam. It will record your activity on the computer, and it will send that data to me. Or if it feels like it is egregious enough activity of like too many open browsers or doing something that will compromise the integrity of the student, of the exam itself, then it may shut the exam down and it will send it to me directly, at which point I will not reset the exam for you because of that, because it's giving a flag for academic dishonesty is what really what we're getting down to. So please, please, please make sure that all of your window browsers are shut. The because I'm one of those people that I have like 1,000 tabs that are open on my computer right now. I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tabs that are open. So if you're a 10 tabber, and that's a light day for me, lots of tabs in your computer open. Make sure that you close them all down and only have one tab open, one window open when you're taking the exam. And so what I mean by tabs are just those little, I don't think you can see it on my computer now, but just at the very top of your web browser, these are all the web pages that you've gone to. So you want to make sure that you clear everything out and only have the web browser open that you're taking the exam. Because if you don't, then there's a possibility that the algorithms will kick you out and you'll not have a great score for the exam, and that won't be fun. So you have that lab exam that is also due on Sunday. Due on Friday, we have our very first quiz. And where you're going to find that quiz is that you will go to course content, quizzes, and exams, and you're going to scroll down to where it says quizzes, and then you're going to take this very first quiz here. And you will click on that, and it's going to give you these instructions and all that good stuff. And the quiz is due on Friday. So everything else we've talked about has been due on Sunday. Your lab exams due on Sunday. Your discussion board, those critical thinking questions are due on Sunday. Your mind maps are due on Sunday. Your lab homework is due on Sunday. Your quiz this week for quiz 1 is going to be due on Friday. So please be mindful of that. Your quiz is due on Friday. I'm not going to begin this, but once you begin it, you cannot stop and come back. And this is the same as with our lab exam. You may not use your notes or your textbook or phone a friend. So this is just you and your computer and your brain, because you guys got this. But that will be also due this week. So just as a quick recap, Friday your quiz is due, and you will find that in course content. Scrolling down to where it says quizzes, clicking that puppy, and we want to take quiz 1. Also, what you'll need to have done this week, we go into the week 2 folder from weekly modules, listen to all of these lectures, complete your critical thinking and application discussion board for the very first unit. You're going to complete these 2 mind maps. Both of these items are due on Sunday. Your week 2 tissues homework on the Connect component of the course, the lab component of the course, is due on Tuesday as well. And then you have your first lab practical / lab exam also due on Sunday. And remember, this lab exam is only going to cover the material that you found on McGraw-Hill Connect's website. Your second lab exam may be a hybrid of both of those items that are there. So there may be some questions from McGraw-Hill Connect's site and also some questions from the lab book that I put in these different folders. So if you can't remember one example of where you found the lab book in a folder, when I told you guys to start looking over this lab for bones of the upper and lower skeleton, this is the lab book that I'm referring to. Another place that you can find this lab book is if you go into course content, and at the very beginning, important course content, and it even tells you what you'll find in this folder. And if we go into important course content, and we have the full lab manual on there, and so that's another place you can find your lab manual. But in the weekly folders, they're broken down into segments that are going to be covered in that particular week. So I think that I've covered everything that we need. Go back to week 2, and we've already finished our first week in 8-week A&P. Isn't that crazy? So it's like 1 down, 7 to go. You guys have been rocking it because you're still here. Whoop, whoop. This ain't easy. I do highly recommend, if you're having any issues at all, please email me if you're struggling with any of the material. And then I also recommend, because this is a lot of information coming to you at like lightning fast pace. Like, I can't even think of an analogy that makes this make sense. But I highly, highly recommend that you go and attend as many of the SI sessions that are possible, because Meg, if you haven't met her yet, she's absolutely amazing, and she's really going to be helpful. The information that she shares with you all in the SI sessions is really vital. Where you can find more information on SIs, if you go to the announcement tab on your Blackboard page, She's always got announcements up there. Like she just put an announcement up here very recently about when the SI sessions are going to be, how to get into the SI session classroom, all of that good stuff there. You're going to find here. So I highly recommend, especially with our first quiz coming up due this Friday and your first lab practical coming up due this Sunday, on Father's Day, nonetheless. I think that's Father's Day. You want, if you're struggling with the material, or you want to just get a good refresher with and make sure that you're in the right direction, I highly recommend attending these group SI sessions. All right, that's all I have for you all. Have fun, stay safe, stay cool, and you're going to hear this sweet nasally voice of mine again real soon. Bye for now.